Hi there, and welcome to the Guns Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Brent Wheat, the editor of Guns Magazine, and we've got another great show today. It's very timely. This is Black Friday, and I'm talking to an old friend of mine, Trent Marsh, a guy who I think is probably one of the best marketers in the entire shooting and outdoor business, and we're going to talk about what makes a good or not so good Christmas gift. This is probably the one podcast you need to rope your spouse or significant other into watching or listening. But before we do that, here's a quick word from our great sponsor, preparedness.com. Prepare for those just-in-case situations with emergency food kits from 4 Patriots. Their survival food kits combine great taste with long shelf life, making them perfect to stash away for any emergency situation. The folks at 4 Patriots set up a special page just for our audience, so you can get this week's special discounts and deals. That page is 4patriots.com/gunmag. Again, just go to 4patriots.com/gunmag for all the special discounts and deals. Well, good morning, Trent.
Good morning, sir. How are we?
I'm glorious. I've got my coffee, and we're recording this just a day before Thanksgiving. This will air on Black Friday, the start of the Christmas season, and I appreciate you joining us. Trent's been on the podcast before. If you didn't know Trent, he's been a contributor to Guns Magazine. He's been in the industry for a while, and he's an old buddy of mine. He's part of my Indiana Mafia. He lives in the northern part of the state, and we started together. I've never mentioned this. My old magazine that I started, wildindiana.com. Mm-hmm. Don't go there. It's not a thing anymore. I had to get out of that when I became the Guns Magazine editor, but Trent was instrumental in getting that thing off the ground. And I would say we were a big fish in a small pond back then, but we had a lot of fun. I didn't know what I was doing, but we had some fun, So it's been great knowing Trent, and like I said, he's really zoomed on into the industry, and he's done a lot. And I often say Trent is probably the best marketing guy I know. I really believe that. Trent is a whiz at analytics and all that inside baseball stuff, and he's really good. So he's a good guy. I always bounce ideas, or I sit and listen while Trent tells me things. So
that's probably I'm also very quiet and reserved. My opinions don't come out easily. It's really tough to figure out where I stand on things. Stuff like that has really been my only shortcoming.
In the words of Dr. Evil, right. No, you're a great guy to bounce stuff off, and I was trying to come up for a topic this week and thinking it's Thanksgiving week, and then we start Black Friday, the holidays, whether your holiday is Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever you particularly celebrate. Lots of folks are going to be buying gifts now, and this is not going to be a standard gift guide. As I said in the title, this is going to be the best or worst gift guide you ever see, because we'll talk about some product, but that's not what we're here for. We're going to talk about how to buy products. So this might be the one podcast that you want to drag your spouse or significant other into and say, see, this is what you need to be thinking about. So we'll see how that plums out. But I'll ask you, and this was a tough question. That's why I'm asking you first, Trent. Can you ever think of the worst shooting or outdoor gift you ever got?
So no, but it's because I've lived by some of the advice that we're going to give in this podcast for quite some time. It's, I align the shooting industry and the hunting industry. A lot of times, for anybody that's heard me be a guest anywhere else, a lot of times my background in the universe of horses and showing and training horses comes up. And I take a very similar approach, and I think most people probably fall into this category. They just don't necessarily know it. We are very personal about our brands and our preferences, and so much of it is a touch and feel. And I may have a specific thing that I want, but unless I tell you I want the 1791 gun belt in this length, in this color, unless I have that very specific entity, for someone to go, oh, well, Trent likes to hunt, so I'm going to go buy him X. I've always discouraged the people that shop for me to wing it, because I don't want them spending their hard-earned money on something that I have to fake a smile through and is just going to take up space in a Rubbermaid tub in my garage. It's so I cannot, off the top of my head, think of receiving a gift in that space. Lots of other gifts where I'm like, great, thanks. That's miserable. But I've always pushed back against freelancing in that space. I don't know if you've received one that's god awful terrible, but I've played the curmudgeon card in such a way that nobody has even attempted it.
Yep. And honestly, that was going to kind of be my answer too, because I'm the exact same way. And that's actually on my show notes. That's the first thing I was going to talk about, is this is such a personal thing. And I'll tell you the analogy I learned the hard way. And I've told this story before. One year I bought my wife a really expensive gun purse, and you could tell the second she tore open the wrapping, it's like, oh. And it's funny because since that time, I've asked a lot of women that are shooters, and they're all like, are you out of your mind? You don't buy a woman a purse. That's very personal. And that's exactly what you just said. Whether you're man or woman, the kind of guns and accessories you like are extremely personal. And a lot of it is just completely subjective too. It's not, this may be the better gun, but I like this one better. And I couldn't even tell you why, but I like it better. So that's one of those things. It's really important for the gift receiver to be specific what they want, but it's also important on the gift giver to understand that is this a real personal thing, and unless you get the exact same thing, the exact thing they want, it's like you said, where do they end up? In the tub, in the garage. So that leads into my next topic, which
a Facebook marketplace listing that the person who bought it for you ends up seeing because you're trying to off it to get the cash to buy the thing you wanted to begin with.
Well, that's going to be another show in January. Facebook Marketplace and eBay are wonderful places to be cruising around that time of year, because you find new, unused, whatever. So, but this goes into my next topic, which is the subject of gift cards. And I give a lot of gift cards. I'm sure you give a lot of gift cards. And I don't like giving them. But when you're talking something so personal, I feel like it's a lot better to give them the opportunity to have the cash to go buy whatever they want. To me, it feels like you've not put a lot of effort into it. But I think in a situation where you're buying, not even shooting, maybe it's just art supplies or cooking supplies. I don't know a thing about those two fields. So if I give gifts, I give them a gift card. So I assume you probably do the same thing.
So it is the absolute last resort for me, because, like I said, it feels impersonal. What I've, and not just like kind of just in our family in general, so many folks are focusing less on giving things and giving experiences, where that's something that makes sense, to where you're not necessarily, I'm wearing my gun sight hat. Maybe you don't pay for a gun sight class, but maybe a few $100s towards a gun sight class, or maybe there's another local training facility that they've done some stuff with in the past and they want to go do another thing. That's where just handing them a couple $100 bills or a gift card, it's not, go to Target and figure out what you want from wherever. It's a very specific, hey, go do this. And, something that my wife's done it for me in the past, not with shooting stuff, but with other things. Like, I think we all have the dilemma of, I want to go do this and I can go do this, but I don't want to leave my wife with the kids or leave my husband with the kids, or I don't want to, whatever the case may be. The authorization, for lack of a better word, it's not that transactional, but just saying, I want you to go do this thing and here's a thing towards it. That in and of itself can be a gift, where, again, you're not just, okay, he goes shop at Bob's Gun Outlet, here's $50 to Bob's Gun Outlet.
Yep.
When I can avoid gift cards, unless it's something like that, where this is a token towards an experience rather than here's a little plastic card full of money because I couldn't think of anything to buy you. That just, to me, that short of when you're buying for your high school or college age grandkids, nephews, nieces, etc. They all need gas and they all need Taco Bell. So those instances, those are fine. It's that is one where that makes sense. But especially, the training thing is a great way to give someone the authorization, the acceptance that I'm telling you I want you to go do this. It's not something where you got to negotiate the logistics of the transaction.
Exactly. And training is truly the gift that keeps on giving. And while you were talking about that, I was thinking about something we did for my adult children. We gave them the experience of, I didn't realize until it was getting late, there are gift cards for cruises, which, that may not be your thing, but we thought, let's do that. And then what I found was interesting. I didn't realize airlines have gift certificates or gift cards. So what that does when you were talking about training, if somebody's going to go to Gun Sight or your favorite shooting school or shooting academy, transportation is expensive now. So you can always say, I'll give you $100 toward tuition and I'm buying your airplane fare. So that's a pretty simple way to get somebody there because transportation costs are pretty substantial at this point. So, and I think most schools maybe not have a gift card, but they would certainly write you out a gift certificate or gift letter. So that's a great way to help folks out. As far as one thing I was going to talk about the gift certificate end of it, knowing what specifically to get them can be hard. So I will say I don't like Amazon. I use Amazon because that's just part of modern life, but I try to refrain from buying shooting supplies from Amazon. But almost everything is on there. So you can always do an Amazon list that has the specific item you want and then say, honey, I like these 5 things, but I really would appreciate it if you would buy it at the local gun shop or even at Brownells or Midway or whomever, Bass Pro. But they've got it, down there. So how else do you give little tips for your spouse?
Well, I'm curmudgeonly. I'll hop on that real quick. The lists are great because it's the same. Like we're specifically kind of talking hunting and shooting, but tools are the same way. A lot of people are very particular about their tools or whatever the case may be. It's so much easier to just go find the thing, put it on a list. If they want to do Amazon, they can. If they want to do it local, they can. But then it's a link. You can do, we kind of all have like multiple families we have to go to, right? And the last thing you want to do is open a gift that's the same gift that you got 2 days ago because this family was buying off the same list in the list. So you can segment, you can have a separate list for separate families. You can shop off, it's a fantastic tool. I generally say, don't buy me anything. Don't buy me anything. Quit buying me anything. And we'll do something, between my wife and I. Obviously my boys want to buy me stuff and they can always find, those are more, trinkety type gifts than anything, that's a different sphere. So I'll answer the question from the other side of it. I have been accused of being a good gift giver.
Oh, bye.
And the reason is, and I chide my stepfather about this from time to time, because and this is every year, it happens the exact same way. What am I going to get for your mom? What should I get for your mom? I said, well, you, at this point, I obviously don't live at home anymore. And the joke is always just listen to what she's complaining about and then go buy that thing. She's the easiest person on earth to shop for. 3 times a week, she's going to complain that something's broken, can't find this sucks, that sucks. Go buy those things. That's simple. And that's, You talked about me being a good marketer, and your check is in the mail for that. Thank you so much. But from the idea of making people's lives easier, if that just becomes part of your internal monologue, you'd be amazed at how many places you can deploy that thought process. I want to go buy my father-in-law a gift. Jesus, what am I going to buy him? What are his pain points? How can you make his life easier in any way, shape, or form? And isolate those items and then shop for those items, because a sweater might be nice. This might be some. At the end of the day, people want gifts that they're going to use. If you can give them something that they will use because it is making their life easier, as you are shopping for people, you make their life easier. Same in the same vein. Don't wait until the Wednesday before Black Friday to start asking questions. Like, don't tip your hand. If you come to me and I tell you the 3 things that I want, and then you buy me those 3 things, couldn't we have just gone to a nice dinner and I bought those 3 things for myself? Like, what are we even doing here? It's being a good gift giver isn't, and why people would regard you as that isn't, it even goes back to the gift card thing. A lot of people will tell you they don't like getting gift cards for gifts because it feels impersonal. If I just give you a list and then you go buy that list, it's empty, I guess is the best. Like, okay, great. It feels transactional. Yeah. When you are regarded as a good gift giver, it's because you heard something in June and you filed that away. And then when the time came back, your Rolodex went, that's what I'm getting them. And I might have forgotten that I bitched about that thing. But then when it lands in my lap, I'm going to go, well, thank you. Thank you for thinking about that. Because a lot of people don't do it that way. Yep.
That's kind of my MO. I use my phone to take notes throughout the year because I can't tell you what I had for breakfast. And we're recording this prior to noon. So, I have a memory span that long. So my phone is full of those little things people mention throughout the year because they make the best gifts. When somebody goes, it's not just the gift, it's you paid attention to what they were talking about 6-9 months ago. So that's great. And I was, go ahead.
No, you finish your thought first, and then I'll ride your coattails.
Okay. Well, I was just going to add another question that I often ask, or a criteria for a gift is, what you said is perfect. I also consider a good gift to be something you really want, but you won't buy yourself, because we've all got that. I'd love to have this, but I won't spend that kind of money on myself. And it seems like the older we get, the more we kind of, I don't know, my wife accuses me of going the other direction. If I want something, I just go buy it. Right. But there's a lot of things that, it'd be really nice to have. And, maybe I'd only use it once or twice a year, but I'd really like it, but I'm not going to spend the money. If you hear those kind of cues, in regards to something, man, that ought to be on your list right then and there, because that's, to me, again, the greatest gift is they listened to you. They understood what your pain point was, as you said, and it was something that they'll probably never buy themselves. But those are really cool things that you have that once or twice a year you say, man, I could have got by without this, but now that I've got it, man, it just makes life better.
The other part of it too is, there are 2 categories for which we purchase, 2 categories of people for which we purchase gifts. There's our core, your spouse, your children, your parents, that sort of thing. And then you kind of have the extended, you got to buy something for the sister, especially as we start to get a little older, like your list of people that you buy for gets larger, and everybody's playing the same game, right? Everybody's trying to find a good gift. Everybody's trying to come up with a good gift. Utilitarian gifts are great, but again, make sure that it is something that is usable. So if I know, say I have a brother-in-law that I know is a concealed carrier, right? I'm going to reach out to his wife and say, Because your wife should have access to your gun safe, because that's good. That's just a good advice. What's he shoot for? What does he use? What is his round for his carry gun, or what's his preferred trick? Because ammunition is a consumable. Like, the joke is, everybody's got big screen TVs now, right? Walmart put the ramen noodles and the cream of chicken soup and the milk on sale, and I'll be there at 3 a.m. That's where everybody's at, especially with inflation the way that it is. A lot of people are taking that. I want gifts of stuff that either I'm just not going to buy myself because I don't want to make that investment, or will I ever have enough ammunition? Any sane, reasonable person would say, absolutely not. But as well as I do, I'm not going to be quite as happy with certain brands or styles of ammunition, and especially when non-shooters. It's one thing if it's you and your brother-in-law go to the range all the time and he knows.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. So that's where the problem comes in, whether it's non-hunters, non-shooters, non-horse people. Oh, I'm going to be cutesy and I'm going to go buy this thing and you end up with a neon green Serpa holster. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So find those people that can be your resources to come back and say, oh yeah, he shoots the PDX ammo, he shoots the federal ammo, or this. Take a picture and send it to him, so that even if you're giving something utilitarian, something that's consumable like that, make sure you're matching their preference and go that route.
Yeah,
magazines, ammunition, all of that.
I'm reminded of a story from one of my favorite authors, Patrick F. McManus, and I can't think of the title of the story, but he talks about gifting outdoor people. And he said the first rule should be you should not be allowed to purchase anything from anybody who uses the term outdoorsy. Oh, yes, he's outdoorsy. Let's go buy him a gift. And he gave some examples. And the one I remember off the top of my head was an inflatable life vest for grasshoppers. When you're fly fishing with a live grasshopper, if you have these little vests that'll keep them alive through several strikes. And, then, the other one was special sleeping bag foot warmers. Well, these look like bricks. They are, but they're special, really dense bricks to heat in the fire and put in your sleeping bag. So, he got it back then when he wrote the story, probably in the mid 70s, that, it's great that people want to give gifts, but as we keep going to, it's such a specific type of want and need in our particular hobby that you really got to know what you're getting yourself into, or you may need to think of some of this other stuff. Some of the other directions we've talked about.
Well, and just one last thing in that regard, and we've done it, and where you typically see it in holidays is kids for their parents. Don't be afraid to pool. I especially as we get older, I don't have a lot of $20 things that I need. I have a lot of $500 things that I need or want, or whatever the case may be. So sure, I can a bunch of tchotchkes are fine, and half will hit and half will miss, and that's fine, and consumables and whatever. But don't be afraid, especially if you know that there's something that someone wants that I wish I could buy X for them. Okay, well, go to the in-laws and say, hey, can we just pool and we'll all do this, and whatever the case may be. And that's another way to kind of make sure that if you just want to give a good gift that someone's going to appreciate, don't always just stay in your little bubble. Expand that bubble a little bit, get creative with it, and figure it out.
Yep. And at this point, I said we weren't going to talk about specific products, and I don't know that we are, but I do want to talk about some specific categories, because I was coming up with a couple of things. If you, for whatever reason, you can't or don't follow our advice to really know the recipient and make sure you don't fall into some of these mistakes, there are a few things that you can give pretty safely, even to somebody you don't necessarily know, and it's going to work out good. So typically safety gear. You can never have enough safety gear. Maybe you can, but those are the kind of things that we tend to scrimp on generally. I like, and it also sets a tone that, if the person doesn't necessarily use safety gear, doesn't use hearing protection all the time, doesn't wear glasses, getting reminded of, here's a nice set of shooting glasses. That may be something you want to wear, as I learned the hard way back in my 18th year when I took the piece of metal in my eye from a poorly constructed muzzleloader. But there's target stands, inexpensive target stands. Can't have too many of those. Or targets. That's a consumable. Pretty simple to buy any kind of target, and they'll find use. It may not be the most exciting gift. I wouldn't consider that the centerpiece of, the gift to your spouse, but some targets make a nice stocking stuffer. Some of the other things, and
with that, paper, steel, you say targets, and there's everybody's mind goes to the same FBI qualifying target, right? But there are myriad options there. A gong style or a pop up or a spinner or whatever. A million different. Don't just think that one little thing that first comes to mind, but that's a really good one.
Exactly. And I will say, I'm going to mention one brand, Throom Targets, THROOM. They make a polymer target that they've got plate racks, they've got hangers. They're great because they're virtually indestructible. I'm sure you could. I broke one, but
naturally you broke one.
It was actually my sister-in-law. She hit it in just the right spot to ruin it. So I'll blame her.
It's your story. You tell it.
Yeah. But they're 99% indestructible, and they're relatively inexpensive. They're lightweight, and the real beauty is you can shoot real close. Unlike a steel plate rack or a gong, you need to be back, a good distance, even with frangible ammo. With these, you can be right up on them as long as you're being safe, and you're not going to get any splashback. So I'm not even sure that they advertise with us anymore, but I'm kind of a fanboy of the whole Throom target thing. So I just had to throw that in there.
It's a good one. I like it. I would also add to that. So I have two boys. They are 4. They are 6, which means they are chronically injured because that's what 4 and 6-year-old boys do. And if you don't already, it's a good reminder. I'm setting this up for a reason. It's a good reminder that every vehicle should have some version of a get home bag that includes a first aid kit and replacement supplies for those, or a really good, I'll drop brand just because, like a good MyMedic IFAC individual first aid kit, tourniquets, any of that kind of stuff. I guarantee you, as prepared as you think you may be for that, you can find a vehicle that's missing one, a range bag that's missing one. And again, when you're talking stocking stuffers, or you want to do like a little grab baggy type gift for someone, any of, whether it's snivel materials or actual chest seals or wrappable band, like any of that's one of those things where, again, it falls into that category of, I could use more, but I can get away with not. And we kind of tend to scrimp and not go full bore on it like we should. Yeah. And then we start losing oil pressure and we go, well, hell, probably would have been good to have an extra chest seal in the range bag. And I didn't. So that would be another one that I would kind of put in that consumable type of element. I'll add another one here.
I was going to say a tourniquet is, I hadn't even thought of that, but you're absolutely right. It's one of those things. It fits my criteria as stuff we know we should carry, and we maybe have one, in our vehicle, or maybe one in our range bag, but we really ought to have it any place and every place. And $30 or so. And I've seen very few on the market that are junk. Most of them are pretty decent if you stick with the main well-known ones. And if not, anybody in the medical field could certainly clue you into what a good one is. But that is a great gift idea for a stocking stuffer. So, honey, if you're watching, for my Christmas, I wouldn't mind another tourniquet or two in the stocking. So anyway,
and that's another one of those things that you can often find good deals on Amazon. You got six sons or son-in-laws to buy for. Just go ahead and buy a 6-pack, throw them in everybody's stocking. Nobody is going to be, well, hell, I didn't need another one of those. Yes, you did.
Yeah,
you needed it.
Yep.
Whether it's the kitchen or your range bag, you needed another tourniquet somewhere. I'd throw a couple other things that I would kind of put in that, regardless of how many I have. There's always another. I'll always take another one. It may not become my everyday carry, but we've all lost flashlights and knives all the time.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
And TSA has never confiscated any of them because we forgot that we were carrying them or anything else. So again, it's one of those. Where I do my EDC dump in the closet. It would be very easy for someone that's buying for me to text my wife, "Hey, run in there and take a pic." I've been carrying a Streamlight here recently, and I need a new EDC knife. I'm not happy with my everyday carry knife at this point, but it's an easy thing to say. What's he currently using? Has he complained about it? Is he happy about it? And even if it's just buying a backup, because inevitably it's going to get dropped on the side of the road while changing a tire, it's going to get pilfered by that greedy, touchy-feely TSA agent. I'm going to leave it in a check bag or in a carry-on bag when I didn't mean to. They grow legs, they walk away, they disappear, and then if I don't have 3 ready to go in a pinch, I don't know anybody that's kind of in that hunt shoot realm that's going to go, well, I didn't need another flashlight. It doesn't matter that there are 8 in a drawer in my garage right now. I will add the 9th, and kind of like the first aid thing, it'll go in a vehicle. It'll go a million places that it will go and find a use and find a home.
That's funny you say that. I have, of course, a Streamlight, the very small one in my pocket. Let me reach. I'm at my desk. Let me reach into my desk drawer here. There's 2. There's 3. That's just my desk drawer. So, yeah. What's the old saying? You can't be too rich, too thin, have too much ammunition, or too many LED flashlights. So that's a great ad.
If for anyone that wants to go to Gunsight, you will hear multiple times, 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Yep. Great advice. And as we're running up on our time limit here, but as I was getting in my desk drawer to pull those flashlights out, I suddenly came across something that I realized is a great gift for every shooter, regardless of age, gender, whatever. Every shooter needs one. And I'm going to, again, mention a specific product, the Fisher Space Pen. This is the kind of thing that shooters need because you're always trying to mark up targets, mark off, this group, that hole, or whatever. It writes on anything. And if you have this and a Sharpie marker, which is another good stocking stuffer, you can write on anything, boxes of ammo, tape, whatever. So big fan of the Fisher Space Pen. And like I said, throw a Sharpie in there. Black, if you want to get them a 2-pack, if you can get a black and a silver, between those 2, they will write on anything and everything. You can mark your magazines, your holsters, et cetera, et cetera. So marking equipment. So like I said, Trent, we're kind of running out of time here, but
I'm going to add another thing though. And okay. I'm going to do this. And whether the internet believes me that you didn't tell me to say this or not, it literally just came to me as we were sitting here.
Okay.
Buy them a magazine subscription. If they're a hunter, buy them a subscription to Deer and Deer Hunting or North American Whitetail or whatever the case may be. If they're a shooter, buy them a subscription to Guns Magazine or insert other magazine here that they may like. That's it's better than the Jelly of the Month Club, but it is the gift that keeps on giving because that shows up every month, and it's information. I'm sitting here and my little supercomputer is well within reach. And again, anybody that's had the displeasure of hearing me on this podcast or others have probably heard me say that in 2023, we've replaced wisdom and knowledge with access to information and thought that made us smarter. And it hasn't. The written word, the studies are everywhere that reading, you retain the information better when you read physical information. It's a good thing to do for someone that is an enthusiast and enjoys that lifestyle. Find them something that can remind them of that throughout the course of the year. Give them that gift subscription to whatever magazine that fits whatever niche that they happen to have. And, guns is about as catch-all as it gets. So I don't know why that wouldn't be at the top of the list. And, I say that with absolutely no skin in the game whatsoever, but it is a really good gift idea for someone that you're just stuck up against the wall, can't figure out what to get them. Get them some information.
That point illustrates the fact that I'm the world's worst salesperson because I hadn't even thought of that myself. So, you said that you were going to mail me a check for speaking nice of you earlier. Well, now I owe you a check, so it's a draw. But folks,
we'll see how many. We'll see how many subscriptions come in, and I'll just take 3% off the top. We'll call it a wash, and everything will be good. Yeah.
Okay, that'll work. If you want to do that, go to gunsmagazine.com. There's all kinds of deals. And, of course, our sister publication, AmericanHandgunner.com. Same thing over there at Tom McHale's place. But you do make a good point that, to me, a gun magazine does two things. It expands your horizons. You may not know about the Lee Enfield Mark IV sniper rifle, but if you read an upcoming issue of Guns, you will. And there may be something there that connects with you and broadens your horizon. And number two, it builds a community. I don't see much on the internet that makes me feel like I'm part of a community, but it's pretty obvious, both to our audience and to myself and our staff, as part of the Guns family, you are part of the family. So that's my little plug for Guns Magazine. So, Trent, go ahead.
Hold on. I'm not done yet. Hold on. I have to pontificate just a little bit more, and then I'll let you wrap. It's finding good quality information is difficult because for all of the good that the internet has brought us, it has proven that no matter how stupid you are, you too can have a platform. And while you can find writers in print, and I can find them, I can point them out in every category within which that I work. And this is really speaking more to those folks who may be encouraged to listen to this, who are not of this space, or maybe someone that's newer to the space. If you are looking for the voices that you can trust more than some others, you will generally find them in print. Because the gatekeeping that has to happen for the story to make it to the editor, for the editor to vet it, for the publisher to agree to put their name on it and put it out in print. This isn't a website that can just get ripped down tomorrow. And if it was on yeehawboombang.com, then it's written gospel. Those even the digital platforms, the digital outlets, by and large, the biggest digital outlets are connected to those original print mastheads. So find those publications, at least make it part of either your research and reading, or try to supplement the people that you care about's research and reading with some of those print names, just because for as much fun as the internet is, it truly is the wild, wild west. And it takes $100 to start a website and tell people that the earth is flat, we never walked on the moon, and the 45 is better than the 9mm. So, wow. So go. I had to just be calm. You can answer all those emails, okay? Wow. But it really, there is a lot of, there's still, I'm a marketer in the space, and I write in the space and kind of wear a lot of different hats. And for as long as I've been doing this job, people have been telling me that print is dying. And yet here I am as a marketer almost 2 decades later, still buying print because it matters. So It matters to the advertisers because it matters to the consumer. So it's absolutely a fantastic gift. It's absolutely something that has value. And if you're newer to the category and trying to figure out, kind of get through all the noise, it's a great place to go to start. Okay, well, I've seen this name in multiple places now. This is someone that I think I can trust. It's a great way to do that. Now I'm off my holiday soapbox. You let drunk uncle come to the dinner and he said his piece, and now I will let you wrap things up.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know it's heartfelt because we've had many of those discussions over the years. And like I said, Trent is one of those guys I call and say, here's my problem. What do you think? And whether I like it or not, he will give me his opinion, but it's usually pretty darn good. So, well, Trent, you have a great Turkey Day and with the family. I know you will. And our traveling season is starting up, so we'll be seeing each other definitely at SHOT Show, I'm guessing. So
that will be the case.
Yep. Well, once we get together there in January, we can talk about all the great Christmas gifts we got. Well, Trent Marsh, thank you very much for joining us here on the Guns Magazine podcast. It was great talking to Trent Marsh, and hopefully we gave you a few tips on how to give better gifts or maybe even receive them. Before we go, I'd like to remind you to check out our great sponsor, preparedness.com, for all your preparedness supplies and needs, and I would say there's probably some good gift ideas there too. If you go to the number 4, the word patriots.com/gunmag, you can see all the special deals exclusively for the Guns Magazine podcast audience. That's 4patriots.com/gunmag. Well, that's it for this Black Friday edition of the Guns Magazine podcast. On behalf of everybody who works here at FMG Publications, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, reminding you once again, now get out there and get shooting.